Hi, I'm Jason Gorber from thatshelf.com, and we're here to look at the Intervention Records release of Judy Sill's Heart Food.
Shelf.
So, Judy Sill, one of these artists that, like, if you know her, you love her, and I think a lot of people these days aren't quite aware of the effect that she had on music. Really remarkable singer, songwriter, performer. Came right at that era where she was doing semi-confessional stuff, semi sort of folky stuff, certainly a little bit of rock elements, all sort of culminating in two of her most beloved records, Heart Food, of course, and her self-titled. Both of these were released in 45 RPM versions um, several years ago, just before COVID, I guess it was, and they immediately became very well big sellers, and more importantly, sort of disappeared and became extremely expensive. So I, for one, I'm ecstatic that Interventions actually managed to actually bring them out again. We're just going to open up Heart Food and take a listen to it and actually compare it to the music on vinyl, 33 RPM version. But I just want to sort of give a shout out to how pleasing it is when this stuff, you want it to be available. It's as simple as that. I understand there's limitations. I understand there's certain licensing requirements, etc. But especially when very indie labels such as this find some really amazing records and have the opportunity to bring them to more people, this is what I think is really benefits this hobby, frankly. I understand that many people actually buy these records simply as a mode of investment, but for those of us that actually open up and listen to them, the goal is to get as many people actually hearing these records in the best possible way. And from what I understand, this is going to be one of the best possible ways to listen to it. I'm actually going to do sort of the beginning opening of this video, and then we'll actually come back in a part two, and I'll give you some of my listening impressions on it. And it's really hard on channels such as this to actually say, hey, look, trust me, it sounds better, but I'll do my best to actually directly compare and see how they work, of course, after I give it a nice wash. So the packaging comes relatively straightforwardly. It actually came for me in this regular sort of, looks like a 2 mil sort of slip with the sticker put on the outside. Totally fine for me. I'm going to very carefully take the sticker off and put it onto my Vinyl Storage Solutions gatefold, as one does. The outside cover looks absolutely gorgeous. Really nice luminous gloss, fantastic. That sort of forlorn, somber photo of her on the back. The artwork's very probably difficult to see, but you can see the big Intervention Records logo and the Asylum Records logo there. This again. I think that the first record of hers is a little bit more easy to get into, but this one is the sort of hardcore Judy Sill people this is the sort of one that they hold up. Now, I said I was going to put it in a gatefold. I can't because I didn't even know this. So inside the gatefold, you actually have her, and there's her conducting, which is great. But you actually have this sort of stuck on the gatefold paper here with all the lyrics. So this is actually part of the gatefold itself. So that might be a challenge. I know I have ways around this, but nonetheless, I think that I'm probably going to be keeping it maybe a regular sleeve. We will actually see how it works. But yeah, really, really nice, beautiful presentation. The records themselves show up as one would hope. These are gutter groove versions of the ubiquitous rice paper sleeves. MoFi, Craft, all kinds of people use these sleeves. So, but it does mean that the record should show up in pretty good shape. I will replace these with my 3 mil sleeves because I'm a little bit crazy. And you can see that even though it is very anti-static, it's still a little bit of a schlep to actually get out. Now the records itself, there's a little bit of air on it. That may be stuff floating in my listening room, but the record itself looks absolutely flat and pretty seamless. And yeah, the record, really nice presentation. And we'll do the same of record 2. Look for any particular issues. I assume we're not going to have any Yeah. So the records themselves look pretty spotless. There's a little bit of marking on this side. It looks like just some surface marking. Nothing in terms of like fingerprints and stuff like that that I've seen on some very high-end records. You've seen that on this channel before. But yeah, 45 RPM, meaning that the last track, the donor, 7 minutes and 55 seconds, takes up the entirety of side 4. So I'm going to take a listen to this. I will come back and let you know what I think of this particular record. Okay, so I had a chance to actually take a look at the two versions that I have. You can see sticker sort of off here. This is the music and vinyl version, and this is the Intervention Records version, the 45 RPM. Right from the get, I mean, we've shown this before, the color variations, this being a thinner cardboard, this being a thicker cardboard. Ironically, this sort of attention to sort of the lushness, just even the color of black is probably going to be hard to see, but this is a darker black. That kind of evokes what's actually at play here with the listening. I mean, it's funny. This is such a good sounding record anyway, that almost anything, especially if you're going to listen to it at 33 RPM, the music on vinyl is fine. And in fact, it's probably great. In fact, for most systems, it's probably not only more than enough, but just an extraordinary record, which you're actually going to really enjoy. It was a very good recording, not like something that was actually recorded to be some audiophile masterpiece, but she has such a unique sound and such a unique timbre in the instrumentations. The music on vinyl is great, and it's funny. I put it on. I had put on like a relatively low vinyl to 45 just to sort of attenuate, and then I to let my ears sort of acclimate, and then put the music on vinyl on, and I'm like, man, this sounds great. Like, why would I go through the pain in the butt of 45 RPM, all this stuff? This just sounds really, really, really good. And then at the same volume level, sort of checked with a meter just to make sure that I was getting the stuff right. I put this guy on, and look, we know 45 RPM can do some spectacular things, but not always. It's not like magically you put it in 45 and it becomes so much better. Again, as a movie guy, it's not like suddenly it's in 70 millimeter and it's a blow up from VHS and suddenly you're going to get the glory of grand cinema or anything like that. And yet this is really that much better. It's ridiculous. Yes, it's Kevin Gray. Yes, he's now a brand. It's so funny how, in the way that we sort of treat sports heroes, or I guess back to the film thing, it's like there are people who are like auteur, like know all the directors, and people like, oh my god, Film Sigismund shot this, or whomever. Like that, we get nerdy about cinematographers. Is the way the mastering engineers have come in this part of it. The fact that Bernie Grumman is a household name now. Is for many people, even if it's put on the hype sticker. It's as simple as that. Mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio is a thing that means something to a bunch of people, myself included, of course. And what he and his team, I assume there's always a team involved, did. Also, where it's pressed, it got a groove, etc. The booklet, all of that stuff is all great. But basically, this sounded great, and this just sounds stunning. Everything opens up, every instrumentation. And I just found myself, it was like with this, I could, Judy's sort of over there, and the instruments are there. And then as soon as I put this on, just right on the very first track, just as it opens up, you can just hear the room in a way that you simply can't on the music and vinyl. You just hear every articulation, every transient, every little element buried in the mix just opens up. Punch, just the sense of drive, the sense, all these adjectives that we can, or verbs that we can, we sort of struggle at finding words for. This just opens up the music in a way which is just quite astonishing. And it's one of, you shouldn't be surprised. It's more money, it's more discs, it's spread over more time. I'm sure I'm not going to get silly and contrast this to a high resolution digital. That's a whole nother story. But on vinyl, this truly is a remarkable presentation of this record. I just found myself going like, again, I just put this on sort of relatively quiet volume, the 45, and then put this up at sort of more reference, and I'm like, man, this sounds great. I'm hearing all this stuff, and then I put this on, and I'm like, where was that? Like, and again, I can go back and find it, but this is just saying, hey, look at this thing over here. Look at this element of her little thing she does with her voice. This little moment of percussion. This little sense that, oh, she's moving slightly from this part of the soundscape more towards the middle. All of these real subtle moments. And I think that's what you get when you actually get records of this caliber. And everyone's like, wow, why? What is the big deal about, audiophile records and all this stuff? Well, when it's done like this, when it's done with this much care, you can take something that's exceptional and turn it into something extraordinary. And I think that's what's been done here. And I don't know. I don't have a first pressing to compare it to. I don't have other pressings to compare it to. I just have these two, but I've had this on my shelf for years. This is by far, for me, the definitive one, the one that I will go to. Yes, 45 RPM is a little bit more of a schlep, having to flip a little bit more often, but records themselves are a schlep. If I really wanted to not have to worry about this stuff, I would go with streaming. So the fact of the matter is, if we're already going through the ritual of the whole thing, this is the way to go. This is, for me, absolutely the definitive version of this record. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, follow us on social media, support these companies that actually are doing this stuff and taking a chance on some of these records that are not the big titles, but certainly definitely worth your time and your listen. Let me know in the comments what you think of this release, and we will see you next video. All the best. Take care.